Fallout 76 is about to be officially released. I've played almost every hour of the beta, and as a huge fan of the Fallout franchise, I've been asked by a number of people, what do you think? 2 people. 2 is a number. Well, to those 2 people, the answer is, I like it. Now, before you start cracking your knuckles in preparation to fat finger an angry comment telling me to go f*** myself with a stim pack, let me explain. I'm not a game reviewer by any means. In fact, this is the first time I've done a video like this. So I'm not going to get into the subtle nuances of the combat system or work versus reward aspect of questing in the game. I'm just going to tell you what I like or dislike about the game as an average gamer and an intense Fallout fan. Well, it's not perfect. It's far from perfect. Perfect is a silent fart that goes unnoticed by everyone else in the funeral home. Fallout 76 is your grieving grandmother getting a whiff and trying to plug her nose while tears and snot coat her hand and sleeve. But I think there's hope for it. I think the Fallout 76 could be pretty great. Let me tell you why. But remember, this is based on my own personal experience with the game. Let's start with the first thing that you notice in pretty much any game, the graphics. Fallout 76 was created using a souped-up version of Fallout 4's creation engine. Basically, it looks like Fallout 4 with a crap ton of mods. Now, compared to the pants-tightening visuals of games like Red Dead Redemption 2 and Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it definitely falls short. It's a 6-year-old engine with a new coat of paint and some flame stickers to make it go faster. Of course, I would have loved for Bethesda to have made a new game engine to bring the franchise up to date with the current graphical state of video games, but in all honesty, I don't really think it detracts from the game. During my time in the beta, I found the landscape and scenery quite beautiful, sometimes even screenshot-worthy. Seeing the Fallout universe with some color and foliage is pretty amazing, and that very well could be the reason it doesn't seem to bother me much. Of course, the character models still tend to look a little methy, and the reuse aspects can be a bit of a letdown when exploring, but overall it gets the job done. It transports me back to a world I know and love without really looking like a 6-year-old engine. Too much. Of course, the most important thing about a game is the gameplay, and the ability to pet dogs apparently. That's where Fallout 76 almost completely fails. There's not even one non-mutated dog in the game. What the hell kind of game doesn't have dogs? I mean, dog meat was the whole reason that I... Okay, I got a little off track there. As far as gameplay goes, it's basically the same as Fallout 4. The firefights feel very familiar, and I like it. You have slower, stronger guns and faster, weaker ones. You've got enemies who shoot at you from a distance and others who charge and melee attack you. All in all, the combat has been a pretty enjoyable experience. But what about that staple of the Fallout franchise battle system? That thing that makes it stand out from all other first-person shooters and adds a whole extra level of depth and tact to combat. What about Vats? Well, it kinda works. Of course, because the entire server can't be slowed down every time someone wants to use Vats, they had to make it in real time, which means you hit Q and then just click as fast as you can without not worrying about the percentage or where you're aiming. Of course, there are perks that you can get to help with things like chance to hit and even give you more options as to where to hit, but overall I found myself using Vats to check to see if there were enemies off in the distance that I couldn't see, or when I was trying to shoot a bunch of small enemies like bloatflies. However, I never really used Vats in the previous games. I always preferred to depend on my own amazing aim. I mean, I've tried and succeeded at hitting the broadside of a barn on a few occasions, though, word of advice, shooting at a random barn is looked down upon and might get you arrested last week. So gameplay gets a pass from me. It's nothing new or groundbreaking, but it's fun, and that's what matters. But seriously, Bethesda, give us some dogs. Another huge part of the gameplay in Fallout 76 is crafting and scavenging. For the first time in a Bethesda game, I finally feel like collecting junk until I can no longer walk, crawl, or even cry for help as I am being crushed by 100 paint cans actually pays off. In previous versions of Fallout, all I did was shoot bad guys and do quests. In Fallout 76, I feel a stronger desire and even need to scavenge so that I can make armor, weapons, ammo, and build. The need for food and drinks also adds to the use of foraging and hunting. At first, the constant need to fill your gullet with irradiated drinks and rancid meats every 5 minutes is pretty annoying, as is the constantly being over-encumbered. However, the game is designed that way so that perks actually have use. You can apply certain perks to make your hunger and thirst go slower, and make things lighter so that being over-encumbered is a lot less common. It gives you even more reason to level, it drives progression. It makes sense. Another reason to scavenge and hoard is the camp system. Conceptually, it's a good idea. Being able to pick up your camp and move it, having your camp log off with you so that it can't be attacked while you're gone. I like the idea, however, it's a bit clunky in practice. Building your own camp seems simple enough, but building a camp with your teammates isn't the easiest process. First, you're basically just building onto one teammate's camp, so if they aren't online, you don't have access to it, but you still use your resources to create things. On top of that, you can only move or edit things that you place down. This makes everyone building at the same time a bit of a mess. You can have what's called a team workshop, but those have to be taken and can be contested or taken over by other players. I haven't really messed with them enough to know exactly how they work, so I won't get into those. The other drawback is that I can't throw my camp down near my teammates. Like, nowhere near them. Personally, I think that we should be able to place down our camps in the same vicinity as our teammates so that we can build our own little settlements. Like most stuff in the game, it's not the best as it is, but it could definitely be fixed. Building is pretty much the same as Fallout 4's settlement building mechanic, except you have to find plans to build certain things like a specific type of wall or door. This gives even more reason to explore, so it works pretty well for the overall game. And then there's PvP. So far, my only experience with PvP has been me being AFK as some man in a dress named Thunderface666 smacked me around with an axe until I realized it and just started walking backward until he gave up. It was a pretty pleasant experience. The way PvP works in 76 is basically if someone starts attacking you and you don't attack back, they do reduced damage until you engage in combat with them. Now, they could still kill you, but if they do, they get a big red star on the map, wanted status, and a bounty on their heads that's paid out of their own caps. To me, this seems like a pretty good way to handle griefing, but it's a bit early to tell if it'll actually work. What happens when a max level player decides to go around and constantly kill low level players? I mean, maybe another high level player will come and take him on, but that's still going to be pretty annoying for the low level dude picking soot flowers and then taking a mini nuke to the dick for no reason. Usually I'm not a PvP type of guy anyways. I never did it in WoW, and I've never really been into games like Overwatch or Call of Duty. I like playing with people rather than against them. So far, Fallout 76 does a pretty good job at offering PvP without making it mandatory. One thing I really hope that they do change, however, is the ability to see every player on the server as a marker on the map. It takes away from that feeling of the unknown. We're the only human survivors. There's only a few of us. It should feel a lot more random when running into players on this huge map. Personally, I think only friends, teammates, wanted players, and players within line of sight should show up on the map. And as kind of a random note, let us display our own character names in game, not our account names. As it stands right now, the name you give yourself is pretty much pointless because nobody sees it but you. You might as well name yourself Fugga. Now, there's this one huge and glaring issue with the game that could completely ruin it. In its current state, apparently it's extremely susceptible to hacking. According to the Reddit user and Fallout 4 mod creator TheaterJustDone, Fallout 76 has some pretty big vulnerabilities. He says, 1, there are no server checks to verify model or file integrity, meaning you can make changes to the game client side and Bethesda would never know. You can make the trees bigger or smaller or even make your character models brighter so that they're easier to see. Terrain and invisible walls are client side too, so you can easily edit game files to allow you to walk through them. You can use existing software to do things like get other players' IP addresses, send commands to make other players auto-use consumables, and even get health info and player location. Probably the worst of it all is the possibilities of totally screwing up PvP. With the right software, you can give yourself full HP and even kick another player from the server. I mean, there's already a mod out that shows you the sweet spots for locks so you never break a bobby pin again. And as far as beta, it works. This all seems like a huge oversight on Bethesda's part. I mean, how do you not prepare for this kind of thing? It seems like some pretty obvious stuff. Bethesda responded to the accusations saying that some of it isn't true, but they are working on fixing the things that are true. Their lack of specificity here is a bit disheartening. However, I'll keep hope that things get fixed, because I can tell you right now, if they aren't, and players can mod the game to the point where they're basically gods, I'm done. I like the game, but that's like the game having an STD and Bethesda saying, nah, you don't need protection. Now, this is all just based on the word of one Reddit user, and I don't know enough to say whether or not there's any validity to it, but Bethesda did say some things were brought to their attention by it, and they're working on fixing it. I just really hope it was blown out of proportion, but only time will tell. Overall, the game has its problems, but nothing big enough to make me stop playing. Not yet. Pretty much every gripe I have with the game can be fixed with a patch. Whether or not they will fix it is another issue. The game is fun. It has potential, and I don't feel like it deserves all the hate it's getting. In the end, it should probably be sold as a $40 game rather than a $60 one because it's just kind of Fallout 4 multiplayer. The story seems a bit shallow so far and almost non-existent, and the RPG element is pretty much gone. If that's all you played the Fallout games for in the past, then Fallout 76 probably isn't for you. Me, I'm going to keep playing it and hopefully enjoying it. Remember, it doesn't matter what other people think of a game, and it doesn't make you any less of a real Fallout fan for enjoying a game that the majority of the fan base dislikes. Like what you like, play what you want to play. Bottom line is, just have fun. Though, if you like Brotherhood of Steel, then you're a motherfucking piece of shit that I hate.